Hello and welcome back to Soul Talk Season 2, Embracing Holistic Wellbeing in the Digital Age. I'm thrilled to have you join us today for another insightful conversation. My name is Navita Vedi and we have an enriching episode in store for you. Today our focus shifts towards the delicate landscape of children's emotions. In this fast-paced digital era, where screens often dominate young minds, understanding and nurturing the emotional well-being of our children has never been more crucial. This is the question at the heart of today's discussion. Joining us for the enlightening conversation is someone who wears many hats with grace and purpose. Trained at the prestigious Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, he has carved a niche for himself in the world of cinema. He has also dedicated himself to a cause close to his heart, promoting mental health among the youth. Through his online series, Consider This, he shared his personal struggles and offered invaluable insights on navigating the challenges of mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Sidhartha Mallya in conversation with Mr. Kapil Gupta, founder and CEO, Solh Wellness.
Hi, Sid. It's a pleasure to have you with all of us at Soul Talk Season 2.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you.
So, can you talk about your journey into how did you get into writing about mental health?
It's something that kind of happened somewhat organically. It wasn't something that I'd set out to do with a plan. As you know, we've chatted before. During the pandemic, I did that series, Consider This, where I just shared some of the mental challenges that I felt like I'd faced during my life, and I was approached afterwards to perhaps see if there was an interest in writing a book, which there was, because for me, I was looking for ways to continue spreading awareness around mental health. After seeing the success of the series, I was like, okay, well, this seems to have resonated with some people. How can I find other avenues to continue talking about it? And the book was seemed like the next kind of step in that journey. So that's when I wrote my first book, If I'm Honest, which came out I think it came out in 2021 now. What are we, 2024? Yeah, I think it was September 2021. And that one as well did pretty well, or at least it helped people. And I was like, okay, I want to continue doing this. What else can I do? And as you know, poetry is another thing that I enjoy doing. I'm just writing little rhymes and stuff. And I started writing mental health related poems, which again were put online. And that led into this newest book, which is aimed for children, and kind of mixes together the poetry and the mental health message in one.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so let's move forward. So Kids often experience a roller coaster of emotions, just like the characters in your book. Why is it important to talk about these feelings with young readers? And how can parents encourage their children to use creative activities like journaling, writing, acting, to explore their emotional landscape?
Yeah, I think there's two parts to that question. The first one being getting children to talk about their emotions. For me, that was one of the big drivers in doing a children's book, was to get children more aware from a younger age. Now, I think we've spoken before. I don't know, I can't remember how old you are, but I think we're around the same age, if not at least the same generation.
I'm probably much older than you. I'm 46.
Okay, so I'm 30. I will be 37 next month. So not enough of a difference, but not too much of a difference, in the sense that when we were both growing up, it was a very different world to what it is today.
Absolutely.
And certainly for me, and I'm sure your experience would have been the same, no one was talking about feelings and emotions when we were young. Like, it was in schools and all of that. It was your usual sciences and math and history and the usual things that you teach in school. But I don't remember anyone talking about feelings and emotions and kind of helping me recognize what these things were.
Sure.
So having that experience, I thought, well, hang on, maybe if we start talking about these things from a younger age and we help children become more aware of these things from a younger age, we can perhaps help them out later in life. Because that was certainly my experience. My experience was, I suffered from a number of different things, which I highlight in the first book, like depression and OCD and all of these things. And I wonder if my experience would have been different, or if I would have at least been better equipped to deal with these things in adulthood had I had some awareness shone on them from a younger age. So that's why I think it's really important to at least, but let me say this, we don't need to turn children into gurus and therapists and all of that, right? But I do think it's worth bringing these things onto their radar from a younger age, which then can help them as they get older. So that's the first part of your question. The second part is, how important is it for children to, or for parents to give children sort of creative outlets? I think creative outlets are imperative, right? For not just for children. I will say this, not just for children. I think for anyone, right? Any way that one can express themselves, right? And again, that could be through writing, drawing, singing, dancing, playing sport, whatever it might be. Any avenue where one can express themselves is really important for development, but also for mental well-being.
Absolutely.
And I don't think, you don't have to be a great singer or dancer or the next Picasso to be able to use these avenues to help express and also perhaps release whatever it is that we're holding.
Absolutely. In fact, we have this concept. So when we last talked, a year and a half back, I was in the middle of working on Solh Wellness platform, which is, now a full-fledged tech platform where we are trying to resolve mental health through technology. And we are making it available to schools, to colleges, and to corporates. And one of the important aspects, along with other tools that we are providing, one of the important aspects that we keep talking about is do get involved in what stimulates you. Any sort of performing arts, any sort of, exercise, gym, travel or something, even go as far as, the spiritual and religious or tarots or numerology or astrology or, whatever stimulates you, you will get your mental health, you will get your outlet, or you will get your, whether you are looking for an escape or whether you are looking at fitting in, either way, that's where you would be able to get help.
Yeah, but and I think like it's we can even go one step further than that, to that it's so easy to do any of these things that you're talking about. Like, you don't have to go for a class. If you want to, you can go for a walk right now. Yeah, if you want to draw, take out a piece of paper and a pencil and do it, right? I think a lot of these things are perhaps we create boundaries in our mind, saying that, oh, well, we have to, if we need to paint, I need to be in a painting class. I need to meditate. I need to go to a yoga studio, whatever it is. No, I think all of this stuff can be incorporated into our own way, into our everyday lives.
Sure.
So, I do also think one thing on that is, and this might be a bit of a point of contention, but any child that participates in the arts, right? Just call it anything that's self-expression, right? They're doing art, they're doing drama, whatever it is. Now, at school we take tests and we get graded on them. Like if you're doing math, right? There is a sum, you're given an equation, and there is a clear answer to that equation.
Sure.
Which means you're either going to get that answer, in which case you're going to be right, or you're not going to get it, which is going to be wrong. There is a clear right or wrong. So when kids are taking math and science exams and tests, yes, you can grade them on whether the answers are right or wrong. But when it comes to the arts, art is subjective.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's a danger of grading kids when it comes to artistic endeavors, right? As far as I'm concerned, at school, as long as you finish your assignments, it should be a pass. End of story. You shouldn't be grading kids pass, fail, this is good, that's better, this and that, because I think then what can happen is that you're now taking something which is meant to liberate and something which is based on creative expression and something which is subjective, and you're putting it into a child's head that, oh, I can do this wrong. And then if you lead with that mentality, of course you're going to want to shun away from it later in life.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I agree with you. And you were right. It's a teeny bit contentious, because the question will be, when they go to school and they are participating in any performing arts, are they doing it as part of their academia, or are they doing it as part of their mental wellness? In fact, when we go to schools and we provide our platform to schools, we actually say, you continue. Well, you have an art class and a music class and a drama class and, other things. You go ahead with them. We will do similar classes from a wellness, from a pure mental health perspective, where we will talk about self-expression, where we wouldn't talk about how do we grade you, how do you improve in it, where we will talk about it purely as a mechanism of self-expression. So I understand that is how it should be, but I think you will have to make some distinction between academia, performing arts for academia versus performing arts purely purely for mental wellness purposes.
Yeah, but I hear everything you're saying, but I think they both go hand in hand, right? I think that it can be part of academia, but it can also be part of a wellness program. I think that children that are doing art classes or drama or anything like that at school, I don't personally believe should be graded. A, B, C, D, pass, fail, any of this. As long as you've participated and you've done the required work, you've passed.
You passed.
Right?
In fact,
because
a lot of the places that I know are doing exactly that now. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's already changing in many ways.
I don't know if you know this or if you've been following, but I also teach now. I teach acting. I teach acting in an acting studio in Los Angeles. Not young kids. I think the youngest person I teach is 19 or 18, all the way up to 60-year-olds, right? And the thing, and the hardest thing, literally, I'm telling you, the hardest thing to get any of these people to understand is you cannot do this wrong.
Sure.
Right? Now,
Sure.
The only way you can do it wrong is if you don't do the work and you don't put in the effort and you show up unprepared. Yes, then you can technically do it wrong. But once you've done the work, you've read a script or a play or whatever it is, and you've interpreted it in your own way, and you come up and you give me your interpretation of that character, that's it, right?
That's it.
It might not be to your liking or to the audience's liking, but that's because it's subjective. But it doesn't mean it's wrong. And I think that if you start grading children from a young age when it comes to art, you are instilling in them that they can do this wrong.
Yep.
And that
absolutely
that sits with you in later life.
Absolutely. So let me move to my next question. So as an author, as well as a mental wellness advocate, can you share your thoughts on resources for children's mental health, and specifically the growing need for interactive apps, tools, or other creative formats alongside traditional books?
Yeah. So you're saying, what are the tools for children?
Yes. Asking your thoughts on that.
I think that, look, I think that there are more books available today than there ever were that talk about, like, for example, mine, which talks about wellness and feelings in a way that isn't too heavy. I think that's the thing that you have to always understand, that when it's dealing with children, and again, this is my experience. Anytime as a kid I was ever pushed into anything and I was told it was work or I had to do it, my mind would shut off to it.
Sure.
What's important is to present this stuff to kids not as work, but as something that's fun. And what you'll realize is that people then end up learning more in that sort of environment. You take the pressure off. You put pressure on children, even adults. The minute there's pressure, we tend to sort of get uneasy around it or whatever it is. Whereas I think the main thing with kids is to whatever it is, if there's apps, if there's books, I think it can be as easy as getting a coloring book.
Yep.
Give a blank piece of paper and a bunch of pencils and say, draw. I mean, that is an acting exercise that I give to adults. And it's just a way of express I think it can be that easy. It's like, here's some pencils, here's a pen, draw what you did today. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. Now, if the kid starts drawing sad faces, happy faces, this and that, they're automatically going to do it.
Sure.
Right? But if you sit them down and say, okay, your assignment for today is this, sit here and do this, and you make it seem like it's work, I find that kids tend to then close off.
Right. They are worried about judgment. They are worried about quality. They are worried about, first, they wouldn't even, you just tend to not like work, and you tend to enjoy if it's gamified interactive engagement. So,
Yeah.
I hate. So how can parents and caregivers assist children in identifying and understanding their emotions and help them foster emotional understanding that could empower children to connect with their inner selves and to pursue their passions?
So I think I do want to, on that point, I think it's important to for the audience that are going to watch this, make it clear that I am not a parent yet. So what advice I can give is always going to be limited. I think any situation you're from the outside looking in, it's very easy to try and give advice on what should be done. But until you're actually in there and you have children of your own and anything, I think whatever I'm going to be able to offer is always going to be more of a concept than actually a reality.
Sure.
But I think that I think that it's what's important is, and again, like, I probably don't have a clean answer for you for this, but I think it's however a parent does it. It's overall, I think it's important to teach children that it's okay to feel what you're feeling.
Sure.
Right. And that's kind of the message in my book. It's the book is more about, yes, there are these ranges of feelings, and not just that you will experience all of these things, but it's okay to feel them. Right. There's nothing right. There's nothing wrong. Not one. It's sort of taking away labels, and ensuring that we don't use the sort of language that was used when I was growing up, which was like, if I was feeling sad, oh, come on, boys don't cry. You know what I mean? Like that kind of language, because then what you're doing is that if you're a young child, or a boy that's crying, you're putting a message into their mind that, well, boys don't cry, this is wrong.
Right.
Right. And then that obviously stays with you moving forwards. Or if it's a girl, someone once told me that later in life, men need permission to cry because they've been brought up to believe that boys don't cry, and girls or women need permission to scream because young girls are brought up to believe, well, that's not ladylike, right? And so I think it's important to take away those kind of labels and to just let people express themselves regardless of age, gender, religion, race, any of these things in whatever way they want, without telling them that you should be this, you should be doing that, or you shouldn't be doing this, or this is that right, this is wrong, la 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 la.
Sure. So let's now talk about social media. I mean, it can be, let me not even say it can be. It is a double-edged sword for any kid's emotions. What advice would you give to kids on how to navigate this digital landscape and promote healthy well-being in the age of social?
Okay. So far, the answers I've been giving you, like, especially to the previous question, I've kind of been giving that with the mindset of we're talking to younger children. One's 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, that kind of thing. When it comes to social media, I guess, what are we now talking at? Like teenagers or
probably between the age of 12 to 17, I guess.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing with social media. I think that we're talking about self-expression. Yeah.
Yep.
You want to go and make videos of yourself dancing on TikTok and put it out there and do stuff like that, do it. I am all for that. Yeah. I am all for that because it's another platform for self-expression. So I think social media is a great tool to help yourself get out there and express yourself. Where it becomes dangerous is then when you tie your sense of self-worth into how that video or picture or whatever it is going to be received.
How it performed, right?
Right. Whether that's with comments or likes or anything like that. I think on social media, it's the content that you put out there. Yes, again, there's so many different things. I think that the content is one thing, and I'm going from an individual. Like, I put content out there, great form of self-expression, but now everyone's able to comment on it or like it or this or that kind of stuff. That's where it can get dangerous, where it's like, oh, okay, well, this one only got 20 likes. Does that mean people didn't like my dance? Okay, well, then if they didn't like my dance, what did I do? Hang on a second. Did I do something wrong? Was it me? Now the mind starts spiraling, right? And our sense of self-worth is directly tied into that post. So I think that's where it can get dangerous. And I would love to say that, oh, well, if you're a young kid, express yourself, but don't beat yourself up over people's likes and all. But that's just, it's stupid advice, because it's easy to say that stuff, but it's very difficult for it not to, it's very difficult for someone to actually embrace that, especially at such a young age. I mean, look at me, like, I'm 36 years old. Of course, I wrote my book to help people. But if tomorrow it suddenly starts getting 1-star reviews everywhere, how can I pretend that's not going to affect me? Right. So I think you look at professional athletes, right? They deal with it all the time. I think anyone in any walk of life that tells you, just don't pay any attention to it, is stupid advice, because we do as human beings.
Right. Okay. So let's now talk a little bit about the book. Of course, the audiences can buy it, and we will share more.
Okay, hold it up one more time. I haven't actually seen it yet, so you've got a copy before I have.
I was told that the copy that I have is a little bit before,
Yeah,
you see it.
you might actually have. I've seen the digital version, but I haven't actually held it myself yet. So
Right. We just received it, I think yesterday or day before. And, the publisher did tell us that you haven't received the copy yet.
yeah,
So, the main character in this book, and I saw it, I read it, loved it.
yeah.
The main character in the book experiences sadness and confusion. So, how do you think nurturing emotional understanding in children can help facilitate a deeper connection with their inner selves and a pursuit of their passions?
So just repeat that for me.
So, the main character in the book experiences sadness and confusion.
Yeah.
Do you think nurturing emotional understanding in children can facilitate a deeper connection with their inner selves?
I mean, I think that again, like as you know, this book is written for 5 years and up.
Mhm.
Okay, right. Facilitating a 5-year-old to have a deep connection with their inner self might be difficult, a very difficult concept for a 5-year-old to grasp, right?
Sure.
But I think what this book can do is at least help a 5-6-year-old understand that, oh, okay, these emotions are there. So when they feel it, it's like, oh, okay, I'm feeling it, but I don't have to be afraid of it. What this can do though is I sort of, it's funny because when I was speaking to the publishers about it, I was like, I know that this book is for children, but I think it can just as much help the adults reading it as well, or the parents that read it to their kids or whoever it might be, because sometimes as adults, we overcomplicate things. And we really need things just spelled out to us in the most basic form for us to remember. Everything in this book, any adult will tell you, yeah, of course I understand. There's a difference between understanding something on a mental and an intellectual level, but then very different actually embracing it and accepting it in your being. So I think where this can help people really connect to their inner selves is more for the adults reading it. And to remember that, okay, I have these inner feelings. Now I can have the inner awareness of, okay, I'm feeling this right now. Okay, I can allow it to happen non-judgmentally and whatever the case may be without trying to fight it.
Sure. In my view, at least in my experiences, I think many times for the kid to have a realization that it's not just me who have these emotions or who has these thoughts, it's everyone in itself is very therapeutical. It makes it okay for them to, go through and kind of have all sorts of emotions, be okay with it now, but more importantly, grow up and mature into being an individual where all of this is acceptable, where they are okay.
So it's strength in numbers, right? It's and this was one of my big lessons from my first book, if I'm honest, is that a lot of the things I spoke about in that book it was about me. Like, if you remember that book, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't a traditional self-help book, which was like, oh, okay, here's Sidhartha Mallya's 10 tips of how to deal with things. No, it was just an open account of everything that I've been through. Right. And what I realized is that a lot of the time people aren't looking for answers. Yeah. They just want to know that I'm not the only one that is going through this or experiencing this.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think, and then coming back to that, so that's why for children, it's, you don't have to understand where something's coming from, but what can help with acceptance and helping children feel like, oh, it's okay, is to realize that I'm not the only one experiencing this, because I'm sure, as you know, and others that you've spoken to will say the same thing. Whatever you go through in life, we can really sometimes feel like no one can relate to us. We're on our own and we're the only one that's feeling this way, which is never the case.
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. So what's the next book that you would be writing?
Well, let's get this one out of the way first. But I definitely have more of these children's poetry books.
Mhm.
I have actually one already that's pretty much nearly done as well. But we'll see if how people like this, and if they like this, and if it's something that people relate to, then maybe we can do a second one based on something else. But I don't know. I kind of enjoy the writing these children's ones, because I feel like I'm sort of like writing it as like the main character in it is called Sid, the kid, right? I'm sort of like kind of giving myself the advice that I wish that I had when I was a child. And then I'd love to do kind of a refurbished edition of If I'm Honest, and include all the learnings that I've had in the time since the book came out.
Sure.
Which I think would be quite interesting, because I think that when it comes to anything involving self-work, we are constantly evolving, and we're never done with it.
Sure.
So just being able to share that might be quite cool.
Sure. So last time we talked, at that time you were exploring acting. I mean, not teaching, but you were exploring acting as a way of self-expression for yourself. And now you are teaching acting, and then you are writing these children books. I mean, I know I don't want you to grade them 1, 2, 3, but which of these are more involved in terms of your personal mental health?
So the acting, the teaching of the acting, and the writing of the books.
Yes.
So I mean, as you know, like I've been acting for now over 10 years. I have a master's degree in it. I did a film since we spoke last, which is meant to be coming out sometime this year. So I think all of them fulfill me in different ways. Yeah, but I also don't think any of them are separate from one another.
Mm-hmm.
I think the acting gives me a way to express myself in a physical way.
Sure.
I think the writing gives me a way to express myself in a different way. And I think the teaching gives me a way to, first of all, kind of mix the best things I've learned from acting with the mental health stuff, because it all goes hand in hand, to try to pass that on to others. But I think that the teaching really fulfills me in a way that being able to see someone grow right there in front of your eyes, as not just as an artist, but as a human being, and to sort of feel like you might have had a little part to play in that, it's quite gratifying. And I think it serves as a reminder that you don't have to be curing mental health issues in order to make a difference in someone's life. We all have the power to make differences in people's lives.